Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, which is, once again, directed by Zack Snyder. It takes place right where Child of Fire left off, with the main characters going back to their home planet, Veld, so that they can prep their home village up to go against the realm, while main characters finally reveal more about themselves and who they are before the realm come to their home planet and kill their rebellion. Honestly, I wasn't excited for this film because I did not enjoy Rebel Moon, A Child of Fire. I do have a review for that on my channel. I'll leave a link for that in the description below if you haven't watched the review yet. It had some cool visuals and some good action sequences and some good performances, but overall, I found it to be a very mediocre movie with not a lot happening. Because it just introduced a lot of characters for just 2 hours and not a lot of action happens, making that film feel more like a setup movie instead of its own film. And most of the characters don't really have much motivation or reason for who they are. They're mostly just quirks to help the main character, Cora, played by Sophia Butella, go help her on her mission to defeat some of the realm. And in my review for that film, I said this: some of the characters do have a little bit of development, and maybe part 2 could get into more of that, but it still really made the film drag. And did they change that? Did they give more development to these characters? Yeah, I think they did. For me, that's one of the positives that I will give this film. Like, there's this one scene where all the characters are sitting around a table and they all start talking about their past and what happened in their backstories. You learn more about who they are and what made them this way, even though it doesn't elevate the emotion in the third act that much, but at least you do get to learn more about them. Like, that's one of the only things in this film I thought did better than the first film, even though that development is all in one scene. Another improvement that I will give this film is that it's very action-packed. It doesn't make you feel like you're falling asleep. A lot happens in the third act. I thought some of the acting was pretty good, even though most of it was very bland, but the ones I thought did a decent job were Sophia Butella as Cora and Djmon Hounsou, I'm sorry if I got his name wrong, as Titus. Those were the two actors I thought did an okay job in the film. And that's it. Everything else about this film was pretty bad, because before the big battle starts, most of the villagers and the main characters are just preparing for the battle against the realm to attack. It's just them preparing for war with only a couple of character moments, and that's it. And you don't even start to feel emotionally attached to any of these characters overall. And that's one of the biggest disappointments this film has, because when some characters die, no spoilers for who they are, you don't really feel any mourning, or you don't really feel bad for them when they get killed. There are also some character moments that are supposed to make you care, but you really don't because they feel underdeveloped. Like, for one, there's this one character with this kid that this character spends some time with, but that subplot was very underdeveloped and barely mentioned, so when that comes back later in the third act and it's supposed to be an emotional moment, you really don't feel that. Now, some of the action sequences can be fun, but when Snyder uses his slow-mo for the action, it can be pretty tiresome. I know that's supposed to be a part of his filmmaking style, but the way this movie does it, it just made it feel old. There are also times when the slow-mo is there for pointless reasons, like there's this one montage scene where characters are cutting crops and preparing for battle, and the slow motion is used in there for some reason, as well as a little song that they would play in the background, which I get it's supposed to show some more of the emotional weight, but again, you don't really feel that emotional weight from the characters or the story. And the final battle between Cora and the main villain of the film during the third act is supposed to feel intense and emotionally satisfying, but with how they use the main villain of the film and his motive for wanting to kill her didn't feel all that satisfying, and it didn't really pay off. And again, I gotta mention, the main issue with this film is that it was lacking the emotional core. Yes, I did just mention that table scene where you do learn some of the character development, but you don't really feel that emotional feeling for them, because it's really just the basic idea of showing who these characters were in the past, but you don't really get to know fully who they were as people, so you don't really get that feeling. And that table scene still doesn't make the audience fully care about the characters, because you only learn more about who they were and what made them this way, but you don't get to fully know who they were as people. Just like in the first film, this doesn't feel like its own film. It just feels like other movies we've seen so many times, and the execution doesn't even make up for that, and it doesn't make the character development pay off. And this is a common issue for most of Zack Snyder films, unfortunately. Most of them are very cool and stunning to look at, but they lack in story and character, which are two of the most important things about a film. So there were no characters in this film I sadly emotionally connected with or cared about in this film or in the last film, making that film feel more like a waste of time. Rebel Moon Part 2: The Scargiver is another mediocre film with some character development and some pretty good action sequences and some good acting, and the third act can be fun to watch. But just like in the last film, it barely has any character development or emotion, way too much tedious and pointless slow-mo scenes, and it's not a very satisfying finale to these two films. Now, if you like the first Rebel Moon film and you're excited for this one and you don't really care about the story and the character and you just want some action, then you might enjoy this film. But if you did not like the first Rebel Moon film and you want this film to improve the issues that that film had, you're not gonna get a whole lot of that, sadly. Now, I do really like Zack Snyder as a director. I do think he's made some really fun and good films in the past, and I am still looking forward to seeing what else he does in the future. But this film and the first film needed a lot of work. I'm gonna give Rebel Moon Part 2: The Scargiver a C. Yes, I know it's the same grade I gave the first Rebel Moon film. I just like it just a teensy tad more than that film, but I gave it the same grade because that's just how I feel about the film. I just gotta be honest with how I feel. So guys, if you have seen Rebel Moon Part 2: The Scargiver, what did you think about it? Did you think it is an awesome finale to these two films, or do you think this is one of Zack Snyder's worst films? Because this movie did not do well when it came out on Netflix, so let me know how you feel about this film and the first film in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Watch more of my videos as well because they also help my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.